Before we begin, this broadcast is a fictional audio drama created for entertainment purposes. Good evening. I'm John Vale, and we're coming on tonight with a developing story that we are going to handle very carefully. I want to say that right away, very carefully, because this involves newborn children, hospital staff, frightened parents, and a set of reports that sound at first impossible in a way that almost feels irresponsible to repeat without context. So we are going to start with what is confirmed, not what people online are claiming, not what clip videos are suggesting, not what captions are saying, what is confirmed. A hospital in western Pennsylvania has reported what it is calling an unexplained neonatal vocalization event. That is the official medical phrase right now. Unexplained neonatal vocalization event. Plainly, a newborn baby appeared to speak shortly after birth, not cry, not make a reflexive sound, not produce something that a frightened person interpreted as a word. According to the hospital's preliminary statement, multiple staff members in the delivery room heard the infant speak a complete sentence. That sentence has not yet been officially released by the hospital, but 3 independent sources familiar with the incident have told multiple news desks that the sentence was, "The water reaches the 6th floor." Again, that is not the official hospital transcript. That is the reported sentence. The water reaches the 6th floor. The baby then began crying normally. Vital signs were normal. Breathing normal, heart rate normal, no immediate neurological distress, no abnormal physical presentation. The child is currently stable. The mother is stable. The family has requested privacy. That is where this began. 1 hospital, 1 baby, 1 sentence, and under normal circumstances, that would not be a national story yet. It would be a medical investigation, a possible misunderstanding, a possible hoax, a possible audio contamination issue, a delivery room under stress. People hearing something that sounded like language because the human brain is built to find language. That would be the responsible assumption. And frankly, that was the assumption for about 20 minutes. Then the second report came in. A hospital in Lisbon reported a similar event. A newborn male infant, less than 10 minutes old, reportedly spoke 1 sentence while being transferred to neonatal observation. That sentence, according to hospital staff, was, "Don't open the eastern gates." Then the child cried, then slept. Normal newborn behavior afterward. The hospital initially treated the report as a staff stress incident. That is understandable. Delivery rooms are emotional places. People mishear things. Families are overwhelmed. Nurses and doctors are human beings, not recording devices. But hospital audio from a security compliance system reportedly captured the phrase. That recording has not been released publicly. Officials say it is being reviewed. The infant is stable. The mother is stable. No signs of ongoing abnormal speech, no signs of distress beyond normal newborn care. So now there were 2 different hospitals, different languages in the rooms, different staff, different families. Similar timing, a newborn speaks 1 sentence, then returns to ordinary newborn behavior. And then, about 12 minutes after that, a 3rd report came from Seoul. A newborn girl delivered by emergency cesarean reportedly opened her eyes, turned her head slightly, which I want to say is itself being reviewed, because newborn head control is extremely limited, and said, "I remember the red winter." Then she cried, normal vitals afterward, stable. No continued speech, no apparent awareness of what had happened. 3 infants, 3 countries, 3 sentences. And that is when health ministries began contacting one another. That is when hospitals were asked to preserve delivery room audio. That is when this became more than a strange local story. I want to be very clear about what is not happening. There is no evidence that these newborns are in danger. There is no evidence of poisoning, no evidence of environmental exposure, no evidence that this is contagious, no evidence that these infants are continuing to speak or behaving like older children. They are newborns. They are feeding, crying, sleeping, being monitored, being held by terrified and exhausted parents. And that last part matters. These are not symbols first. They are babies first. Whatever this becomes tonight, we need to remember that. They are babies. They are not messages with bodies attached. They are not evidence before they are children. They are newborns in hospital rooms, and the adults around them are scared. Mara, you've been watching some of the hospital statements and public reaction. What are you seeing?
The first thing I'm seeing is disbelief. Not panic yet, disbelief. People are saying, no, babies can't speak. And that is true in the normal sense. Newborns do not speak in full sentences. They do not have the development for that. They do not have the motor control, the memory structure, the language acquisition. That's why this is so jarring. But the second thing I'm seeing is parents reacting very differently from everyone else. Because if you've ever been in a delivery room or near one, you know there's already this strange atmosphere where everything feels unreal for a little while. A baby arrives, and everyone is exhausted, relieved, scared, crying, laughing, checking fingers and toes, listening for the first cry. The room is full of emotion before anything strange happens. So now imagine that room. Imagine a baby being born. Imagine everyone waiting for a cry, and instead there's a sentence. Not a scream, not a sound, a sentence. The water reaches the 6th floor, or don't open the eastern gates, or I remember the red winter. I don't think people are really processing the content of the sentences yet. They're processing the fact that the first thing these children gave the world was not a cry. It was a warning, or something that sounds like one, and that is going to affect parents deeply, not just the parents in those rooms. Every parent listening, every expecting parent, every person near birth tonight, because birth is supposed to be the beginning of not knowing. You look at a newborn and wonder who they'll become. Tonight, some parents are looking at newborns and wondering where they've already been.
Yeah, that is exactly the emotional shift, where they've already been. We have a public statement now from the National Pediatric Review Board. This is preliminary. Quote, health authorities are aware of multiple reports involving apparent speech events in newborn infants shortly after birth. These reports are under medical and audio review. At this time, no public health risk has been identified. Parents should not alter birth plans or seek emergency care based on unverified social media claims. Hospitals are being advised to preserve relevant records and ensure privacy and safety for families. End quote. That is the official guidance. Do not alter birth plans. Do not seek emergency care based on social media claims. No public health risk identified. Hospitals preserve records. Protect families. That is good advice. And I want to add something just as plainly as I can. Do not go to hospitals trying to see these babies. Do not call maternity wards asking if babies are talking. Do not show up with cameras. Do not harass nurses, doctors, families, hospital security, anyone. These are medical facilities. There are mothers recovering. There are infants being monitored. There are families who did not ask to become the center of the world's fear tonight. Leave them alone. Let doctors work. Let parents hold their children. We have another update. This is from the Pennsylvania hospital where the first case was reported. The hospital has confirmed in writing that an anomalous vocalization consistent with adult-like language structure occurred shortly after delivery. That is the strongest confirmation yet from the hospital. They are not releasing the audio publicly. They are not releasing the infant's name. They are not releasing the family's identity. Good. They should not. The hospital also says neurological evaluation is ongoing, but the infant remains stable and is not currently displaying further anomalous behavior. So again, stable infant, no continued speech, no public release of recording. But the event itself is now acknowledged. We are getting reports of fake clips spreading online. Some are obvious, some are not. Please be careful. There are already videos with old hospital footage and dubbed audio. There are AI-generated clips. There are people posting random baby sounds with subtitles. There are accounts claiming to have the real audio from inside delivery rooms. Do not share those. A fake clip involving a newborn child and a terrified family is not harmless. It is cruel, and it makes it harder to understand what is actually happening. The truth tonight is strange enough. We do not need people manufacturing more. We have a fourth report now. This one is from a hospital in Melbourne. The health authority there has not confirmed the exact sentence, but 2 local outlets are reporting the newborn said the lights stayed on after the coast moved. Again, reported, not officially confirmed, the infant is stable. Mother stable. Audio review ongoing. And that one is different. The lights stayed on after the coast moved. I don't know what that means. No one here knows what that means. But it has the same quality as the others. It sounds like a fragment from a context we do not have, like hearing one sentence from the middle of someone else's nightmare. Mara, I know there are already people trying to interpret the sentences. What's happening there?
Too much, way too much. People are already making maps. They're trying to find a city where water could reach a 6th floor. They're looking up places with eastern gates. They're searching old weather records for something called the Red Winter. They're matching coastlines, flood maps, military bases, dam systems, anything they can find. And I get why a sentence like the water reaches the 6th floor begs to be solved. It sounds like a clue, but we don't know that it is. It could be a random phrase. It could be a neurological event we do not understand. It could be a hoax in some cases. It could be something generated by adults in the room. and misattributed. It could be a lot of things. The danger is that people will start treating these babies like little disaster machines. Like if we decode them fast enough, we can stop something. And maybe there is information here. But we cannot start with that. We have to start with the fact that these are infants, and the adults around them need calm, not crowdsourced prophecy.
Right. And that is going to be hard tonight because human beings are not good at leaving mysterious sentences alone. We want meaning, especially when the sentence comes from someone who should not be able to speak. We have another official statement, this one from the International Health Coordination Forum, quote, current reports involve isolated neonatal speech events occurring within the first hour after birth. In all confirmed cases reviewed so far, infants returned immediately to typical neonatal behavior. No recurring speech, coordinated behavior, or ongoing cognitive anomaly has been verified. Hospitals are instructed to document without provoking further response. End quote. That last line matters. Document without provoking further response. That means doctors are being told not to try to make babies speak. Do not prompt them. Do not test them like witnesses. Do not hold up microphones and ask what happens next. Again, these are newborns. If an event occurs, document it, but do not provoke it. And if you are a family member near a birth tonight, I would say the same thing. Do not try to make a newborn speak. Do not shout questions. Do not record them instead of caring for them. Do not treat a baby's first hour alive as a press conference. That sounds obvious. It is apparently not obvious enough. We now have a fifth report, this one from a hospital outside Toronto. The phrase has been officially withheld, but one family member has shared a partial statement publicly. The newborn reportedly said a name, not a future disaster phrase, a name, the name of the delivering nurse's brother who died 8 years ago. The nurse reportedly became so distressed she had to leave the room. Now that is exactly the kind of report that needs very careful verification. It may be false, it may be coincidence, the name may have been mentioned in the room earlier, the nurse's social media may have contained the name, a family member may have misheard. There are many possible explanations, but the hospital has confirmed that an internal review is underway after a staff member experienced distress related to an alleged neonatal speech event. That is all we can confirm. Not the name, not the claim, only that the hospital is reviewing it. But if these reports move from vague future fragments into private information, the public reaction will change again. Because a warning can be dismissed as mysterious, a private name feels intimate, and intimacy is harder to explain away. We have an audio verification update from the Pennsylvania case. The hospital has not released the recording, but a medical audio review panel has confirmed that the sound was not produced by any adult speaker captured in the room. Let me say that carefully. According to the panel, the recorded sentence does not match any adult speaker in the room. The source is still under analysis. They are not saying the baby spoke in those exact words, but they are saying the sentence on the recording has not been matched to an adult present. That is a major step. The review is ongoing, but this is moving away from simple misattribution. We have another statement from the family of the first baby through the hospital. It is short. Quote, our child is safe. We ask the public to stop sharing false names, false images, and false recordings. We do not know what happened. We are asking for privacy while doctors care for our baby. End quote. That should be respected. Our child is safe. We do not know what happened. Please remember that tonight. The people at the center of this do not have more answers than the rest of us. They have less space to breathe. Mara, I want to give you a longer moment here because I think the privacy issue is important. These families are going to be under enormous pressure.
Yeah, and I'm worried about that. Because the world is very bad at leaving unusual children alone. We say we want to protect them, but then we name them, film them, study them, argue over them, build stories around them before they can even hold their heads up. These babies did not choose to speak. If they spoke, they did not choose the sentences, they did not choose the fear those sentences created, and they certainly did not choose to become symbols. So I hope people remember that the first job here is not to decode them, it is to protect them. Protect them from crowds, protect them from governments that may want answers, protect them from people who think they are holy, protect them from people who think they are cursed, protect them from parents being pressured into interviews while they are exhausted and terrified, and maybe protect them from us too, from the audience, from the need to know. Because there is something almost unbearable about a baby carrying a sentence too heavy for the room. But the baby is still a baby. They need warmth, they need milk, they need sleep. They need someone to touch their little hand and not look at them like they are a message from the end of the world.
Thank you. That is exactly right. Not a message from the end of the world. A baby first, always. We have a new confirmed case. This is from a hospital in Johannesburg. The health ministry there has confirmed an apparent speech event in a newborn within 8 minutes of delivery. The sentence was recorded. The ministry has released the wording with parental consent. The baby reportedly said, "The inland sirens start before dawn," then cried normally, "The infant is stable. The mother is stable. The family has requested no contact from media. The inland sirens start before dawn." That phrase now joins the others. The water reaches the 6th floor. Don't open the eastern gates. I remember the red winter. The lights stayed on after the coast moved. The inland sirens start before dawn. We do not know if these are connected. We do not know if they are warnings, but they share a tone. They sound like fragments from places under stress. Flooding, gates, winter, coasts. Sirens, again, interpretation can run too far here, but the pattern is not emotionally neutral. We're also hearing that maternity wards in several countries are increasing privacy and security protocols, not because the babies are dangerous, because the public may be. Hospitals are already reporting unauthorized visitors, calls from media, calls from conspiracy groups, calls from people offering to translate newborn statements, calls from people asking to be present at births. Absolutely not. Do not do that. Birth is not a public observatory. A maternity ward is not a prophecy site. Stay away from hospitals unless you have a medical reason to be there. We have a medical update from the International Health Coordination Forum. In confirmed cases so far, the speech events have occurred within the first hour of life, most within the first 15 minutes. No confirmed repeat speech after the initial event. No confirmed continued adult-like cognition. No shared physical abnormalities, no consistent maternal health pattern, no consistent geography, no known exposure link that is very important. There is no known pattern that would allow prediction or prevention. And that means officials do not want pregnant people panicking. If you are pregnant or close to someone who is pregnant, please listen carefully. There is no instruction to induce labor. There is no evidence that changing birth plans helps anyone. Do not make medical decisions based on fear or online speculation. Speak to your actual medical providers. Do not listen to strangers saying babies need to be born before midnight or after sunrise or under certain conditions. That is dangerous nonsense, and it will spread tonight if people let it. Do not let it. We have another case under review in Madrid, not confirmed. The reported phrase is, "We were sent back too early." I need to repeat that this is unconfirmed. A local outlet is reporting it based on 2 hospital sources. The ministry has not confirmed, the hospital has not confirmed, but the phrase is already spreading. We were sent back too early. That is the most direct phrase yet, if true. It implies a sender, it implies return, it implies timing, and it gives people a story. That is why we need to be careful. One unconfirmed phrase can become the frame for everything. Still, we are mentioning it because health authorities are now responding to the report and asking the public not to gather outside the hospital. Again, unconfirmed, but under review.
That phrase is going to take over everything. We were sent back too early because it explains just enough to make people stop looking for other explanations. That's dangerous. It may not be true. It may be misreported. It may be a hoax. But if people believe it, then suddenly every baby is not just remembering they were sent. And if they were sent, people will ask by whom and why and from what and then the whole story becomes bigger before the facts catch up. But I'll be honest, even as I'm saying that, I feel the pull of it. We were sent back too early. It sounds like something someone would say if they arrived with a job and no time to do it. And that is frightening.
We have confirmation now from Madrid. The hospital has confirmed an anomalous speech event. The ministry has confirmed the sentence. The newborn said, "We were sent back too early. The infant is stable. The mother is stable." No repeat speech. That is now confirmed. We were sent back too early. I'm going to let that sit for a second. This changes the story. Until now, the sentences could be fragments, images, warnings, private names, but this is different. We were sent back too early. That sentence contains a we, it contains movement, it contains failure, it contains intent. Again, we do not know if the sentence is true. We do not know if it is meaningful beyond the event itself. But as a recorded statement from a newborn in a verified hospital setting, it is now part of the record. And every agency involved tonight will have to deal with it. We have a statement from the International Health Coordination Forum released just now. Quote, authorities urge the public not to interpret isolated neonatal speech events as verified future information, prophecy, reincarnation, coordinated intelligence, or evidence of time displacement. Medical, linguistic, neurological, and audio specialists are reviewing all confirmed cases. The health and privacy of infants and mothers remain the priority. End quote. That is the official guidance. Do not jump to prophecy. Do not jump to reincarnation. Do not jump to time displacement. Review is ongoing. Protect infants and mothers, and that is exactly what we should do. But the sentence is out now. We were sent back too early, and the world is already changing around it. Let's reset before we close this first part. You are listening to Fictional Radio. I'm John Vale here with Mara Ellison. Tonight, hospitals in multiple countries have confirmed apparent speech events in newborn infants shortly after birth. The infants are physically stable and have returned to normal newborn behavior after the events. No public health threat has been identified. Authorities are asking hospitals to document events without provoking further speech and to protect the privacy of families. The confirmed or reported phrases include references to flooding, gates, winter sirens, and one now confirmed sentence from Madrid, "We were sent back too early." Officials say there is no evidence yet that the statements are true future information. But the first baby born remembering something has become the first of many. And the question now is not only whether newborns are speaking, it is what they remember. We will continue. We are continuing. I'm John Vale. Mara Ellison is here with me. And the story has moved very quickly since we first came on the air. What began as one report from a hospital in western Pennsylvania is now a confirmed international medical anomaly involving newborn infants in multiple countries. The infants are stable. That is the first thing. I want to keep saying that because everything else about this story is frightening, and that one piece of information matters. The infants are stable. The mothers are stable. There is no known public health threat, no infection pattern, no exposure pattern, no instruction to alter birth plans, no evidence that anyone should induce labor, delay labor, rush to a hospital unnecessarily, or change medical decisions because of online speculation. If you are expecting a child tonight, or if someone you love is, please listen to your actual doctors, not strangers online, not edited clips, not people saying they know what time babies should or should not be born. The official guidance is very clear. Do not change birth plans because of this. The babies are not dangerous. The mothers are not dangerous. Hospitals are not prophecy sites. And I know that last phrase sounds strange, but it needs to be said because we are already seeing people gather outside maternity wards. Do not do that. Do not go to hospitals unless you have a medical reason to be there. Do not stand outside delivery units with cameras. Do not ask staff if any babies have said the future. These are families. These are medical patients. These are newborns. They need privacy and care, not crowds. Now, here is what has changed. The number of confirmed neonatal speech events has risen to 26 confirmed cases. There are many more reports under review. The confirmed cases are spread across at least 12 countries. In each verified case so far, the event occurred within the first hour after birth, usually within the first 15 minutes. The infant spoke once, sometimes one sentence, sometimes a short phrase. In a few cases, 2 short sentences, then the infant returned to normal newborn behavior. Crying, feeding, sleeping, reflexive movement, normal neonatal response, no continued speech, no ongoing adult-like awareness confirmed, no repeat conversations, no baby answering questions, no baby explaining what the sentences mean. That matters because the internet is already filling in the gaps, but in the confirmed cases, these are brief events. A sentence arrives, then the baby is a baby, and that may be the most unsettling part. For a few seconds, something too old comes through, something brand new, then it is gone. We have an updated statement from the International Health Coordination Forum. I'll read it in full. Quote, confirmed neonatal speech events remain brief and non-recurring. In all medically reviewed cases, infants display typical neonatal behavior following the event. No medically actionable pattern has been identified among mothers, infants, locations, delivery method, gestational age, or environmental conditions. Hospitals are instructed to preserve audio, video, medical, and witness records while minimizing disturbance to infants and families. End quote. So there is no known pattern. That means officials cannot predict where it will happen next. They cannot say which births are at risk. They cannot say if risk is even the right word, and they are telling hospitals to document, not provoke. Again, document, not provoke. That means Doctors should not try to make babies speak. Nurses should not ask questions. Families should not crowd a newborn with phones. If it happens, record the event if it is already being recorded in a medical setting. Care for the baby, care for the mother. Do not turn a delivery room into an interrogation. Mara, what are you seeing from hospitals now?
The hospitals are overwhelmed in a very specific way. Not overwhelmed medically, at least not yet. They're still delivering babies. They're still doing normal care, but they're overwhelmed by attention. Phone lines are getting clogged. Security desks are getting questions that sound almost medieval. People asking if babies are cursed. People asking if the babies can predict floods. People asking whether a maternity ward needs clergy, police, scientists, cameras. And inside all of that, actual parents are trying to have actual babies. I saw a message from a nurse in Dublin who wrote, "Please remember there are mothers bleeding while people argue outside about time travel." That one hit me because it cuts through the whole thing. Whatever this is, birth did not stop being birthed tonight. There are still contractions. There are still monitors beeping. There are still people scared for ordinary reasons. There are still nurses trying to find warm blankets. And now on top of that, everyone is waiting for a sentence. That is an awful thing to add to a room. The first cry used to be the sound everyone waited for. Now some families are afraid of what might come before it.
Yeah, afraid of what might come before the cry. That's exactly the shift. We have new confirmed phrases now. Authorities are not releasing every sentence, partly to protect families and partly to prevent crowdsourced panic. But several phrases have been released with consent or confirmed after already circulating publicly. A newborn in Vancouver reportedly said, "The bridges close from the north." A newborn in Lagos said, "The towers bloom at night." A baby in Kyoto said, "I was old when the sky turned white." And a newborn in Madrid, as we reported earlier, said, "We were sent back too early." That last phrase has now been repeated in 2 additional confirmed cases. One in Buenos Aires, one in Stockholm. Both babies reportedly said the exact same sentence, "We were sent back too early." Same wording in translation, same structure, same timing within the first minutes after birth. That is the first repeated phrase across confirmed cases. And that matters because until now, the sentences seem scattered, strange fragments, maybe unrelated. But repeated language suggests either a shared source, a shared mechanism, or a shared memory pattern. We do not know which, but it is now being treated as a major clue. We have a medical language update. Doctors are describing the events as transient neonatal speech episodes. That is the phrase now. Transient neonatal speech episodes. Again, a very calm phrase for something that is not calm at all. Transient means brief. Neonatal means newborn. Speech episodes means, well, it means what we are talking about. The phrase may help doctors talk about it without sounding like they are confirming prophecy or future memory. But everyone else hears the sentences, and the sentences do not sound medical. They sound remembered. We have a new technical observation from neonatal neurology teams. In at least 7 reviewed cases, brain monitoring captured a short burst of unusual activity during the speech event, not seizure activity, according to the preliminary notes, not standard newborn sleep-wake activity. The phrase being used is brief synchronized cortical activation inconsistent with baseline neonatal development. Plain language, for a few seconds, the baby's brain activity looked more organized than a newborn brain should look. Then it returned to normal. That is very preliminary. It does not mean adult consciousness. It does not mean memory transfer. It does not mean future awareness. But it does mean doctors are seeing something physical during the speech events. This is not only people hearing things, at least in some cases, there is a measurable neurological spike. And I want to be honest, that makes this harder to dismiss, not explain, dismiss. There is a difference. We still do not have an explanation, but the events are leaving marks in audio, witness testimony, and now some neurological data. That is why more agencies are involved, not because the babies are dangerous, because something real is happening to them or through them, and the difference between those 2 phrases is going to matter. Mara, I know you have some family messages. Let's hear a few, but let's keep the names limited.
Yeah, I'll keep them general. One mother wrote, "My son spoke for 6 seconds, 6 seconds, and now everyone wants to know what he meant. I just want to know if he is okay." That is probably the central parental feeling tonight. Not what does the future hold, but is my baby okay? Another parent wrote, "She said something about sirens and then she sneezed. That's the part nobody understands. She was terrifying for 2 seconds, and then she was tiny again. That line, she was terrifying for 2 seconds, and then she was tiny again. That may be the whole thing. The adults are being forced to hold both realities, the impossible sentence and the tiny body that said it. And those do not fit together. There is also a father whose child reportedly said one of the repeated phrases. He wrote, "Please stop calling him a messenger. He has my nose. He is 7 pounds. He is not your messenger." I think that needs to be heard. Whatever these children said, they do not belong to the public now. They are not public property because something public came through them.
We have a new development involving confidential information. A hospital in Toronto is now confirming that one of the neonatal speech events included the name of a hospital wing currently under private planning, not publicly announced. Earlier, we had reports of a private name connected to a nurse's family. That remains under review. But this is different. The Toronto hospital says the newborn's phrase included the name Northlake Annex, which is apparently the internal planning name for a pediatric expansion not yet made public. The phrase was reportedly, "Northlake Annex fills before the smoke clears." That is now confirmed by the hospital as an accurate reference to a non-public project name. They are not saying the rest of the phrase has meaning, but the name was real, and it was not public. That is a major escalation, because now we have at least one verified case where a newborn spoke information that should not have been available in the room to the family or to the public. Could there be another explanation? Yes, a staff member could have mentioned it. A document could have been visible. There could be an information leak. The review is ongoing, but the hospital says it has not yet identified a source for how that term entered the delivery room. So the category is changing again, not just strange sentences, potentially inaccessible information. We have a statement from the International Health Coordination Forum about that. Quote, "Reports involving non-public terminology or private names must be reviewed for environmental contamination, staff exposure, prior disclosure, recording context, and post-event memory distortion. No conclusion should be drawn until complete review is conducted." End quote. That is responsible. Basically, check every normal explanation first, and they should. Because if you skip normal explanations, you can turn coincidence into destiny. But if the normal explanations fail, then the question becomes much larger. We have more repeated fragments now. A phrase involving 2089 has appeared in 4 confirmed cases. Not always the same sentence. One baby said, "By 2089, the inland sirens are normal." Another said, "Don't wait for 2089, I think." Another said, "Don't wait for 2089. And one, in a case still under review, reportedly said, 2089 was when they stopped pretending the maps were current. Again, that last one is under review. But the year is now recurring enough that analysts are tracking it. That is 63 years from now, close enough that children born tonight could live to see it, close enough that parents holding those children can imagine them as adults inside whatever that year means. That is part of why this is so frightening. This is not a prophecy 10,000 years away. If these fragments refer to a real future, they are within the lifetime of the babies saying them. Maybe that matters. Maybe that is why they are the ones speaking. We do not know. Mara.
That's the part people are reacting to now. The timeline, if the babies are remembering something from around 2089, then they are not remembering some distant civilization. They are remembering a world they could grow old in. That makes the parents feel like they are holding someone who has already outlived them, or someone who came back from being older than them. And that's emotionally impossible. A mother is looking at a newborn and wondering if that tiny child remembers dying at 70. A father is changing a diaper and wondering if his baby has seen cities flood. And then the baby just cries because it's hungry. That is too much for a person to hold. It's not just fear of the future, it is fear that your child has already been there.
We have a new government statement. This is from the Office of Public Health Continuity. Quote, "Expecting families should continue established medical plans. There is no medical evidence that neonatal speech events can be prevented, induced, predicted, or controlled. Attempts to delay or induce birth without medical indication may endanger mothers and infants. Hospitals are prepared to document events if they occur. Public speculation should not interfere with care." End quote. That is very important. Do not try to time a birth. Do not pressure a pregnant person because you think the baby might have information. Do not ask doctors to induce early for a message. Do not delay needed care because you are afraid of one. This is already happening online. People are treating birth timing like a way to catch or avoid the phenomenon. That is dangerous. Listen to doctors. Not message boards. We have reports now that some hospitals are removing non-essential recording devices from delivery rooms and restricting visitors. That may sound counterintuitive because people want evidence, but privacy and care come first. Hospitals are trying to prevent families from feeling pressured to record the first moments of a child's life for the world. They are also trying to stop staff from treating every delivery like a possible event. That kind of anticipation can change care. It can make people watch the wrong things. In a delivery room, the priority is still the health of mother and baby, not capturing a sentence, not solving 2089, not producing evidence. We have a new confirmed case in Cairo. The newborn reportedly said, "The libraries moved underground after the second Sun Week." The phrase second Sun Week has now appeared in 2 cases, one under review in Athens, one confirmed in Cairo. Again, we do not know what it means. It could refer to heat. It could refer to solar activity. It could refer to war. It could refer to something cultural. It could mean nothing, but the fragments are beginning to cluster around terms. Inland sirens, red winter, second Sun Week, eastern gates, water reaching upper floors, maps becoming unreliable. These are no longer random sounding in the same way. They are forming a vocabulary, and that may be more unsettling. A story has a beginning and an end. A vocabulary means there is a world behind it. We have another medical update. Researchers are comparing the languages used in the speech events. In multilingual delivery rooms, the infant's sentence is sometimes reported in the mother's primary language, sometimes in the dominant language of the hospital. And once, this is under review, in a language neither parent speaks fluently, but one that a nurse present understood. That complicates things. It may suggest environmental language influence. It may suggest the event uses available language structures nearby, or it may suggest people are interpreting sounds through the languages they know. Again, no conclusion, but it is being studied. And the language question matters because if this is memory, whose language is the memory using? The babies, the mothers, the futures? That is not a normal medical question, but it is now on the table. Mara, you have one from a midwife.
A midwife in New Zealand wrote, "I have delivered babies for 31 years. The first cry tells you the baby has arrived. Tonight, every time a baby opens its mouth, the room freezes. That is not fair to them." That feels really important because newborns communicate by sound. That's what they do. They cry, they squeak, they gasp, they make little noises that mean nothing and everything, and now adults are flinching at those sounds, waiting to hear language, waiting to hear a disaster. That is not fair to the babies. They should not have to enter the world into a room holding its breath for the future. And I'm worried this will change how people receive them. Even if most babies never speak, even if this remains rare, the possibility has entered the room. And once fear enters a room, it is very hard to ask it to wait outside.
We have a new confirmed phrase from a hospital in Oslo. The newborn said, "There were more of us, but most did not make it back." That is confirmed by the National Health Authority there. I'll read it again. "There were more of us, but most did not make it back." The infant is stable, no repeat speech. Mother stable, family privacy requested. That sentence is now going to become one of the central phrases of this event because it connects directly to the repeated line, "We were sent back too early. There were more of us. Most did not make it back." Again, we do not know if the sentence is true. We do not know who "us" refers to. But if the phrases are related, they suggest the babies are not merely seeing fragments. They are describing a failed return, a failed sending, a failed transfer. We are not confirming that as fact. We are saying that is what the language implies. And implication is powerful. We have another health coordination statement already, quote, "Authorities caution that semantic interpretation of neonatal statements remains speculative. Repeated pronouns such as we and directional language such as back should not be treated as evidence of coordinated identity, time displacement, reincarnation, or intentional transmission," end quote. That is the responsible warning. Do not treat we as proof. Do not treat back as proof. Do not build a doctrine out of pronouns. But people will. They already are. Because we is the first word that makes the babies sound connected. And connection is the thing everyone is trying to understand. We have a new issue emerging. Security at hospitals. Some groups are now trying to gather at maternity wards, claiming the babies need protection from governments. Other groups are claiming the babies are dangerous. Both are creating problems. Authorities are asking people to stay away. I'm going to say it again, stay away from maternity wards unless you belong there. Do not bring politics, religion, fear, or cameras to a place where people are giving birth. Do not make nurses choose between protecting medical privacy and crowd control. Do not make parents afraid to announce a birth. These babies are not yours. Their sentences are public now. Maybe their lives are not. We have another neurological update. In the cases with recorded brain spikes, the activity appears to occur just before speech, not during crying afterward. Then it drops. That is expected if the speech event is neurological but not explanatory. No structural abnormalities on early scans. No continuing abnormal brain activity in the infants reviewed so far. That is reassuring medically. The babies are not remaining in a heightened state. They are not seizing. They are not showing ongoing distress in the way doctors can currently detect. Whatever is happening appears to pass through briefly. A flash. Then ordinary newborn life resumes. That word ordinary feels very fragile tonight, but doctors are trying to preserve it, and they should. Mara, what are parents of newborns saying if their babies didn't speak?
That's actually one of the saddest parts. Some parents are relieved. Some are almost offended by their own relief. And some are scared in the opposite direction. They're wondering why their baby didn't speak, as if silence now means something too. That is how fast this has distorted birth. A normal newborn cry, which should be a relief, now has people wondering if they missed a message. There's a father who wrote, "My daughter was born tonight and just cried. I cried because I was happy. Then I cried because I was relieved. Then I hated myself for being relieved." That is heartbreaking, because nothing happened to his daughter except birth. And already the world has made that feel like an answer to a question nobody should have asked. So I hope people hear this. If a baby is born tonight and does not speak, nothing is wrong. If a baby is born and cries normally, that is good. That is beautiful. That is enough. A baby does not owe the future a statement.
A baby does not owe the future a statement. Yes, that should be repeated. We have another update from the International Health Coordination Forum. Confirmed cases now stand at 41. 41. Reports under review number in the hundreds, but most will likely be false, mistaken, duplicated, or unverifiable. Confirmed cases. 41 recurring phrases include, "We were sent back too early." "Inland sirens, 2089. "Red winter." "Second sun week." And now, most did not make it back. Again, no official interpretation. Medical and linguistic teams are building a secure database of confirmed phrases. Access will be limited to protect families. There is already pressure from governments and researchers to access all records. Privacy groups are objecting. This is going to become a fight, not later. Now, who owns the sentence a newborn says in the first minute of life? The parents? The hospital? The state? The public? The future, if that is what this is, no one knows. But everyone is going to want access. We have one more confirmed phrase before we close this part. This is from a hospital in Recife. The newborn said, "You were supposed to hear us when we were old enough to explain." I'm going to repeat that. You were supposed to hear us when we were old enough to explain. That is confirmed by the regional health authority with family consent. No repeat speech. That sentence connects directly to "sent back too early." If then the implication is that whatever this is was not supposed to happen through newborns. They were supposed to arrive later or speak later or remember later when they could explain. Instead, they are arriving as infants with fragments. That is terrifying because it means the message may be real but broken. A warning with the instructions missing.
That one makes me feel sick. Not because it is the most dramatic, because it is the saddest. You were supposed to hear us when we were old enough to explain. That sounds like someone apologizing for being unable to help. And it came from a newborn, a baby who cannot explain, a baby who may never remember saying it. That is the cruelty here. If these really are memories, they arrived in bodies too new to hold them. If they are warnings, they came through people too young to give context. If they are nothing, if they are only a medical anomaly, then the world is still going to build fear around children who did not ask for any of this. Every possibility is heavy. There is no light version.
No, there isn't. We are now moving into what officials are calling emergency ethical coordination. That means hospitals, health agencies, privacy regulators, pediatric ethics boards, and governments are trying to agree on what to do with confirmed speech records. The infants themselves remain under ordinary medical care. That is the good news, if we can call it that. Ordinary medical care. They are not being moved to labs. They are not being separated from families under any confirmed official policy, at least not in the jurisdictions we are tracking. Authorities are repeatedly saying, protect the infants, protect the families, document the event. Do not provoke, do not exploit. Those are the right priorities. But the pressure is rising because the sentences are beginning to sound connected. And if they are connected, then the world will want the rest of the message. Let's reset. You are listening to Fictional Radio. I'm John Vale, here with Mara Ellison. Confirmed neonatal speech events have now risen to 41 across multiple countries. Infants remain stable and return to normal newborn behavior after brief speech episodes. Medical teams have identified short bursts of unusual brain activity in some reviewed cases, but no ongoing abnormal neurological condition. Several phrases are recurring across cases, including, "we were sent back too early," references to 2089, inland sirens, red winter, second sun week, and a newly confirmed phrase, "you were supposed to hear us when we were old enough to explain." Officials warn against treating these statements as verified future information, but the fragments are beginning to sound less like isolated warnings and more like pieces of a failed message. We are continuing, and the number of confirmed cases is now 73. 73 confirmed neonatal speech events across multiple countries. Hundreds more reports are still under review, and officials are stressing that many of those will likely be false, duplicated, misunderstood, or impossible to verify. But 73 are confirmed. 73 newborns who within the first hour after birth spoke a brief sentence or phrase, then returned to normal newborn behavior. The infants remain stable. That is still the most important medical fact. The infants remain stable. No ongoing adult-like awareness has been confirmed. No baby is answering questions. No baby is explaining what any of this means. And that may be the cruelest part of the entire event. The world is receiving fragments from children who cannot tell us what the fragments mean. We have now entered what health authorities are calling emergency ethical coordination. That means hospitals, pediatric ethics boards, privacy regulators, public health agencies, and governments are trying to decide what happens next, not only medically, legally, socially. Politically, because the medical part, at least for the infants themselves, remains relatively simple right now. Care for the newborn, care for the mother, monitor vitals, protect privacy, do not provoke further speech, do not separate infants from families without medical cause. Those instructions are clear. The rest is not. The rest is becoming very complicated very quickly. Who has access to the recordings? Who can study the phrases? Who decides whether a sentence from a newborn belongs to the parents, the hospital, the state, or the public? If a baby says the name of a future storm, is that protected medical information? If a baby names a city, does that city have a right to know? If a baby says a date, does a government have a duty to prepare? If the sentence sounds like a warning, can anyone ethically keep it private? And if the sentence came from a child too young to consent to anything, who has the right to use it at all? Those are not theoretical questions anymore. They are happening now. In hospital conference rooms, in emergency legal calls, in maternity ward hallways, in family group chats, in government offices, and the babies at the center of all of it are sleeping, feeding, crying, and being held. That is the strange split. The world is trying to build policy around newborns who are currently wrapped in blankets. We have a new statement from the International Health Coordination Forum, quote, "confirmed neonatal speech records will be collected under emergency medical privacy protocols. Public release of content will require parental or guardian consent, except in cases of immediate actionable public safety relevance. No current statement has been verified as immediate actionable future information. Families are urged not to release recordings without medical and legal guidance," end quote. So the official position is, do not release everything, do not treat the phrases as confirmed future facts, protect families, release only when there is a clear public safety reason or when the family consents. That sounds reasonable. But it will be difficult to hold because people are already demanding all of it. All recordings, all phrases, all languages, all dates, all names, all fragments. The public wants the message assembled. If there is a message, and parents are now in the impossible position of holding babies who may have said something the whole world wants to hear. Mara, what are parents saying now?
A lot of them are asking for silence. That's what stands out. Not answers, silence. They're saying things like, please stop asking what she said. Please stop calling him chosen. Please stop saying my baby is a warning. Please stop saying we need to release the audio. And I think that matters because everyone outside the room is focused on the sentence. The parents are focused on the child. They're changing diapers. They're trying to breastfeed. They're trying to sleep for 20 minutes. They're trying to call grandparents. They're trying to recover from surgery. And the world is treating them like they are guarding classified information. There's one message from a mother whose baby spoke one of the repeated phrases. She wrote, "I don't want him to be the future. I want him to be my son." That is it. That's the human center of this. People want the babies to mean something. The parents want the babies to be babies. And both things are now happening at the same time.
Yeah, I don't want him to be the future. I want him to be my son. That's probably the most important sentence anyone has sent tonight. We have a new confirmed case. This one is from a hospital in Manila. The newborn reportedly spoke for longer than most previous cases. 2 sentences. The family has authorized release of the wording. The first sentence was, "The storm names run out." The second was, "After that, they use numbers." The infant then cried, normal vitals afterward, no repeat speech. That phrase has already been picked up by meteorologists and climate agencies, but again, officials are warning against treating it as verified future information. It may mean nothing. It may be metaphor. It may be generated language without real reference, but it joins the growing pattern of weather, water, maps, sirens, and years. The storm names run out. After that, they use numbers. We have another confirmed case from Munich. The baby said, "New Rotterdam is not in the Netherlands." That is the first confirmed use of the term New Rotterdam. The phrase had appeared in one unverified report earlier, but this is now confirmed. New Rotterdam is not in the Netherlands. We do not know what New Rotterdam is. It may be a future city, a relocated city, a ship, a shelter, a project name, a misunderstanding, a phrase with no real referent. But the fact that the baby clarified what it is not makes it sound like a correction. Like someone answering a misconception that does not exist yet. That is the kind of thing that makes these phrases feel less like random words and more like fragments from a world with its own context. A world where people might know New Rotterdam well enough to assume it means the Netherlands, and where someone would need to clarify that it does not. We have another neurological update. In 12 cases now, monitoring or post-event scans show no lasting abnormality. That is reassuring. The brief cortical activation spikes remain under study, but the infants are not showing signs of injury, fever, seizure, or ongoing developmental instability. Doctors are using the phrase self-limited event. That means it begins, happens briefly, and ends without continuing symptoms. Again, medically reassuring, but not explanatory. A self-limited impossible thing is still an impossible thing. It just stops on its own. We also have the first report of a parent trying to provoke a repeat speech event. This is exactly what officials warned against. According to the hospital statement, after a newborn spoke, a family member began asking repeated questions and attempting to stimulate the infant to respond. Staff intervened. The baby did not speak again. The family member has since apologized publicly. I'm not going to name the hospital. I'm not going to name the family, but I will say this clearly. Do not do that. Do not ask a newborn about the future. Do not shake them. Do not crowd them. Do not raise your voice. Do not hold a phone near their face waiting for a message. Do not treat a baby like a broken radio you can tune by pressure. If there is one practical moral line tonight, that is it. Do not make the babies perform.
I'm glad you said that because the pressure is going to get worse. I can feel it in the messages. People are already saying, ask them about the city, ask them how to stop it, ask them who sent them. And I understand the desperation. If you think a child has information that could save people, of course you want to ask. But that is exactly why adults have to hold the line. Because the baby cannot consent. The baby cannot say, I need rest now. The baby cannot explain whether speaking hurts. The baby cannot tell us whether the sentence was memory, reflex, trauma, or nothing. So adults have to protect them from our need, and our need is enormous tonight. But their bodies are tiny. That has to matter more.
We have a new public health warning. Several online groups are spreading the claim that births should be induced before dawn to capture more future information. That is false, dangerous, completely unsupported. Health authorities are calling it a direct threat to maternal and infant safety. Do not do this. Do not pressure anyone to do this. Do not spread posts encouraging this. Labor induction without medical indication can be dangerous. Delaying medically necessary care can be dangerous. Trying to time birth around a phenomenon no one understands is dangerous. The future, if that is what this is not worth risking the life in front of you. That is the line. The future is not worth risking the life in front of you. We have another confirmed phrase, this one from a hospital in Nairobi. The baby said, "Tell them the inland sirens were not for weather." That connects to the earlier phrase, "The inland sirens start before dawn." And another, by 2089, the inland sirens are normal. So the inland sirens phrase is now one of the strongest recurring elements. But this newest sentence changes the implication. Not for weather. Again, we do not know what that means. Could be metaphor, could be future disaster, could be war, could be evacuation, could be public alert systems, could mean nothing. But it is now part of the confirmed phrase set. Inland sirens were not for weather. We have a statement from the Global Meteorological Council, which is not usually involved in neonatal cases, obviously. They are advising media not to connect the phrases to any current storm systems, flood forecasts, or climate events without evidence. Good, that is important because people are already matching phrases to current weather. That can create panic. A baby saying the storm names run out does not mean a current storm is about to do something impossible. A baby saying water reaches the 6th floor does not mean a specific city is about to flood tonight. No statement has been verified as an immediate forecast. That remains official. No immediate actionable prediction has been confirmed. We have another kind of reaction now. Religious and cultural responses. Some groups are calling the babies prophetic. Some are calling them reincarnated. Some are saying they are under spiritual attack. Some are saying this is a medical event and should not be spiritualized at all. And in the middle of those arguments are families who just want privacy. I want to be careful here. People will interpret this through their beliefs. That is inevitable. Birth and prophecy are both very old human territories, but belief cannot override care. You may believe these children are meaningful. That does not give you access to them. You may believe they are holy. That does not give you the right to crowd them. You may believe they are dangerous. That does not give you the right to threaten them. Whatever you believe, the ethical instruction is the same. Protect the child. Mara, you had something from a pediatrician.
One pediatrician in Boston wrote, "Please stop saying these infants remember dying. Some parents are already afraid to bond. We do not know what this is. Do not put death between a mother and her baby." That one feels really important because the phrases are scary. They sound like future memories. They sound like someone has been through something. But if parents start looking at their newborns and seeing a dead future adult instead of a living child, that will hurt families. Bonding matters, touch matters, feeding matters, eye contact matters. The baby needs the parent to be present now, not staring through them into 2089. And I know that sounds impossible if your child said something like, "I died before 2089, but the child in your arms has not died. They are here, they are breathing, they are new. And maybe that is the only thing a parent can hold on to tonight. Whatever they said, hold them now.
We have another case, this one from Sao Paulo. The newborn said, "You cannot stop all of it. Stop the first door." That is confirmed. The phrase first door is new in confirmed cases. Officials have no interpretation. Stop the first door. Not all of it, the first door. Again, this will generate theories very quickly. We should resist them until there is more data. But it is a different kind of phrase. It is not only descriptive, it sounds instructional. You cannot stop all of it. Stop the first door. If there is a message hidden in these fragments, that may be part of it, but we do not know. We now have confirmed cases at 92. The growth in confirmed cases is partly because more hospitals are reviewing recordings from the last few hours, not necessarily because the rate is increasing in real time. That is important. Some events happened earlier and are only being confirmed now. So do not assume the phenomenon is accelerating just because the confirmed count is rising. Officials are trying to separate event time from confirmation time. That is slow work, especially when every new phrase becomes public pressure. We have another major development. A baby in Athens reportedly spoke a phrase matching a confidential disaster exercise scheduled for next year. The phrase was, "Exercise Blue Harbor was too small." The name Blue Harbor corresponds to a private emergency planning exercise involving port evacuation and coastal infrastructure, according to government sources now confirming the phrase was not confirming the phrase was not confirming. This is the second confirmed or near confirmed case involving non-public terminology. Toronto had North Lake Annex. Athens now has Exercise Blue Harbor. This does not prove future memory, but it makes coincidence harder. It suggests, at minimum, that some phrases contain information unavailable to ordinary public knowledge. The question is how, and no one has an answer. The International Health Coordination Forum has now requested that governments submit confidential future planning terms to a secure comparison system to check whether neonatal phrases match non-public records. That is going to be controversial because it means governments may begin comparing baby statements against classified or restricted information. That raises enormous privacy and security questions. But it also may reveal whether the babies are referencing things that already exist secretly rather than future events. That distinction matters. If a baby says a confidential project name, maybe it is not the future, maybe it is some unknown access to present information. That is strange in a different way, not necessarily better, but different.
The more this goes on, the more I feel like adults are trying to make the babies fit whatever fear they already had. Some people are afraid of the future, so they hear future warnings. Some are afraid of government secrets. Some are afraid of religion, so they hear prophecy. Some are afraid of technology, so they hear signals. Some are afraid of climate collapse, so they hear floods and storms. And maybe one of those is right. Maybe none of them are. But the babies are getting buried under adult fear. That is what worries me. Their first day alive is becoming everyone else's argument.
Yes, and that may be unavoidable now, but it is still worth resisting, at least in how we talk about them. We have a new confirmed phrase from a hospital in Vancouver. Second case there. The baby said, "We came through birth because it was the only door still open." I'm going to repeat that. We came through birth because it was the only door still open. That connects to first door, sent back, and old enough to explain. The door language is now recurring. The idea of return through birth is now explicit. Again, we do not know whether the statement is true, but the implied story is becoming clearer. Some we attempted to send something back. They arrived too early. They came through birth because it was the only door still open. There were more of them, but most did not make it back. They were supposed to be old enough to explain. That is the pattern in the language, not confirmed reality. But pattern, we have another statement from authorities warning against harmful behavior toward pregnant people. Apparently, some expecting parents are being pressured by family members, online groups, even strangers, to record delivery rooms, change birth plans, or submit babies to private testing. Do not do that. Consent matters. Medical care matters. Birth is not public property because the world is scared. If you are near someone giving birth tonight, your job is not to capture evidence. Your job is to support them. That should not need saying, but it does. We have a new case from Los Angeles. The family has authorized release. The newborn said, "Do not waste the years we gave you." That is the most direct warning phrase yet. Do not waste the years we gave you. The baby is stable. Mother stable. No repeat speech. Officials are not interpreting the phrase, but the public will, because that sentence sounds like purpose. It sounds like the reason behind the return, if return is what this is. Mara, that one is going to land.
Because it makes the future sound like it costs something. The years we gave you. That sounds like someone paid for time, and now they're afraid we'll waste it. Again, maybe it's just language, maybe it's not literal. But emotionally, that is what people will hear, and I think it may change the fear again. So far, people have been afraid of what the babies remember. Now they may start feeling responsible for it. If these children came back with fragments of a bad future, then adults will ask, what are we supposed to change? And that can be motivating. It can also become dangerous very fast, because people will choose their own answers. They will decide the first door is whatever they already hated: a government, a border, a machine, a religion, a city, a person. That is why official silence and official caution matter. But the phrase is out there now: do not waste the years we gave you. People will not leave that alone.
We are getting reports of the first major public demonstrations forming, some outside government buildings, some outside hospitals, unfortunately, some calling for protection of the children, some demanding release of all confirmed phrases, some calling for emergency action on climate, war, migration, infrastructure, artificial intelligence, borders, everything people think the fragments might reference. This is going to become political very quickly. It may already be, and that is another reason the infants need protection. Because once adults turn a child's sentence into a cause, the child can disappear inside it. We have a new global advisory, quote, "No neonatal statement has been verified as actionable instruction. Governments and hospitals are instructed to protect maternal and infant privacy, prevent unauthorized access, and avoid public release of personally identifying details. The public should not treat newborns, families, or medical staff as sources for interrogation." End quote. Good. No interrogation, that should be the word. Do not interrogate babies. Do not interrogate nurses. We have another confirmed phrase, this one from a hospital in Stockholm. The baby said, "Tell them we were not trying to come back. We were trying to send a map. That is important. We were not trying to come back. We were trying to send a map." So now the implied mechanism changes. Maybe, according to the language, it was not people being sent back. It was information, a map. But it came through lives, through babies, too early, broken. That would explain fragments if a map was supposed to arrive as instructions, but instead arrived as scattered lived memories inside newborn speech. Again, that is interpretation. Many analysts will now begin testing. Not reincarnation, not prophecy, a failed information transfer. A map shattered into births, that is where the language is pointing. Mara, I want you to take a longer reflection before we move toward the final section.
I keep thinking about maps, because a map is not the destination. It is not the danger. It is not the journey. It is a way to help someone choose where to go. And if these sentences are pieces of a map, then maybe that is why they feel so frustrating. They are not telling a full story. They are not saying, on this date, do this. They are more like landmarks from a road nobody has taken yet. Red Winter, Inland Sirens, Second Sun Week, New Rotterdam, First Door, 2089. The problem is a broken map can be worse than no map if people start filling in the missing parts themselves. And that's what scares me now, not just the future these babies might remember, the present that adults might create by panicking over fragments. If people choose the wrong meaning, they could build the very road they're trying to avoid, and the babies won't be able to stop them. They'll just grow up inside the world adults made from their first words. That is so unfair, to be born carrying a warning and then have to live with what people do in response.
Yes, that is a heavy truth. They may have to live with our interpretation of what they said, and we may be wrong. We have a new statement from the International Health Coordination Forum. Confirmed cases now 117. 117, no confirmed repeat speech, no confirmed ongoing adult cognition, no ongoing medical instability. The infants remain stable. But the phrase set is now large enough that a secure linguistic working group has been formed. They are treating the statements as a corpus, a body of language. That means they are no longer analyzing one sentence at a time. They are analyzing relationships between phrases, shared terms, repeated grammar, dates, locations, pronouns, instructions. And the preliminary note says, confirmed statements display non-random thematic clustering. Non-random thematic clustering. Plain language, the sentences appear connected. Not conclusively, but enough that specialists are now studying them as one body of language. We have one final confirmed case before the closing section. A newborn in Boston spoke for 11 seconds. That is longer than most. The family has not released audio, but the hospital has released a transcript with consent. The baby said, "You were supposed to hear us when we were old enough to explain. We came through birth because it was the only door still open. Do not waste the years we gave you." That combines three phrases previously heard in separate cases. Same child, same event, three connected statements. Then the infant cried, "Normal vitals, no repeat speech." That may be the most important case yet because it links the fragments. They were supposed to be old enough to explain. They came through birth because it was the only door still open. Do not waste the years they gave us. That is a message. Again, not confirmed as true, not confirmed as future, but structurally that is a message. And the world has heard it. We are seeing public reaction immediately. Crowds are growing. Hospitals are locking down. Governments are convening emergency briefings. Expecting families are being told again not to alter medical care. Health workers are asking for calm. Parents are asking for privacy. And somewhere in all of this, 117 newborn babies are sleeping, feeding, and crying like newborns. That is what we must not lose. The message may be global. The children are individual. Each one has a name, even if we should not know it. Each one has a body that needs warmth and care. Whatever came through them, they are here now. And here has responsibilities. Mara, one more before we close.
I keep thinking about the phrase too early, not too late, too early. That means time was gained maybe, or something arrived before it was ready, or before we were. And I think that's what scares me the most. Not that the future is fixed, maybe it isn't. Maybe this whole event means it isn't. Maybe time was changed enough for these children to bring something back. But the warning came before the speakers could explain it. So now humanity has years, maybe decades, and no clear instructions, just fragments, and babies, and responsibility. That is not a disaster in the usual sense. It is worse in some ways because disasters tell you when they arrive. This gives us time and asks what kind of people we are going to be with it. And I don't know the answer. I don't think anyone does, but I hope we remember that the first thing the future gave us tonight was not a weapon or a machine or a law. It gave us children. And maybe that means the answer has to begin with protecting them.
Thank you, Mara. Yes, protecting them. That is the only clear instruction tonight. We have one last official update for this hour. The Health Coordination Forum says all confirmed neonatal speech cases will be placed under enhanced privacy protection. No infant names will be released, no recordings will be made public without guardian consent and medical review. Hospitals are instructed to prioritize infant care over evidence collection. Governments are establishing secure review teams for the phrase corpus, and the public is again urged not to gather at hospitals. That is the practical reality. The world has changed, maybe, but maternity wards still need quiet. Babies still need sleep. Mothers still need space. This is fictional radio. Tonight, the first baby spoke from a future no one understood. Then another. Their words came in fragments. Water, sirens, winter, maps, doors, years. A future vocabulary scattered across delivery rooms. Officials cannot confirm prophecy, time displacement, memory transfer, or any known cause. The infants are stable. The mothers are stable. The world is not. Because somewhere between the first cry and the first breath, something found a way back. Not clearly, not completely, not kindly. It came through newborn mouths, too early, without enough language, without enough time. And now the living have been given years they may not deserve, warnings they may misunderstand, and children who must be allowed to become more than the fear they carried into the room. For now, the babies are sleeping, the hospitals are guarded, the recordings are sealed, and across the world, every delivery room is quieter than it has ever been, because everyone is waiting for the cry and afraid of the sentence that might come before it. Good night.